Oh, good afternoon on a lovely, wonderful afternoon here on Sunday in Washington, D.C. My name is Brian Anders. I'm a community activist. I've been organizing around homelessness and affordable housing issues since 1983. And what I really want to see from both the new mayor and members of the city council is a more practical and responsible response to the issue of homelessness and affordable housing in the District of Columbia. We have hundreds of D.C. public buildings which are vacant and empty, which through the Weems and Fenty's administration have been sold to developers to develop high-end, unaffordable housing for residents of the city, with retail, which has driven out a lot of the local neighborhood mom and pop stores, driven out a lot of the ethnic groups like Ethiopians, Koreans, has pitted populations of the African American and Latino against each other based on an unequal distribution of wealth and income in this city. So what I would like to see is a collaborative effort made by both the mayor and the council, working with union employees, working with homeless, not only providers, but homeless persons themselves, to take some of these community assets and to deal with some of these issues that are increasing the suffering and poverty of the residents of the district. For example, a school building like the Franklin School, which was once used as an emergency shelter, which ended up warehousing homeless men, could have easily been converted through a collaborative work with the men in the shelter, minority contractors and businesses, to renovate that building using the workforce that existed of men in the shelter who were carpenters, drywallers, plumbers, and electricians, to turn that building into a transitional shelter which would have helped to get people stable by providing jobs, job training, workforce development, computer training, substance abuse, and mental health care, to better prepare people to move back into our society. Now you combine that with taking some of these public housing buildings which are being demolished and being replaced with Hope 6 housing, which are high-end townhouses which no one can afford. Take that same housing, take that workforce of ready employees, both D.C. government employees who have been laid off and ripped under the Fenty administration, rehire those folks, renovate some of that public housing, and make it affordable for people who have been on waiting lists for subsidized housing for the last 20 years. And instead of warehousing homeless families out at D.C. General Hospital with no resources, with no hope of ever living independently, and waiting for the typical robbing Peter to pay Paul budget system that we've created in this city, and instead of asking the wealthier people in this city to pay another 2% in their income tax, that money would be designated to pay for affordable housing programs, let's use people who already exist in this city. Let's use these folks who are undertrained. Let's begin to educate our youth who are standing on the street corner selling drugs because they have no real alternatives. Let's begin to train these folks and provide real opportunities for them by renovating housing, moving those homeless families into the housing, working to bring services back into those same dwellings, so people are having to bounce from this caseworker to that agency to this employer to this group to look for a crumb of service. Let's bring those services and put them in place, and let's start to give people an opportunity to see public property differently. Let's give people an opportunity to take these empty buildings and turn them into assets in the community. We need more health care. We need more drug treatment. We desperately need more workforce development. We desperately need more affordable housing. What we really need from the mayor and the council is to stop living in this slave mentality that we've got to go to the wealthy, we've got to give everything to the developers, we've got to kiss them behind the Congress to get the little crumbs that they give us to keep us an impoverished city and keep us on this plantation mindset. Let's find the political will, let's find the spiritual will to unify this city in ways that are practical, that build resources in these communities, that strengthen these communities, but also improve their quality of life for the folks in the city. And let's show some real courage in terms of creating an education system that is less Eurocentric, but more Afro-Cuban centric or more Afro-Latino centric. Let's talk about the ways that our communities are similar. Let's talk about the ways our communities have things in common. Let's talk about the fact that we can have a city with a more egalitarian government, where government is more inclusive, where the words of the lowest person in the city, the person at the bottom of the economic ladder, holds just as much weight and sway as a person who's living up here in Ward 3 in Friendship Heights and Tinleytown, who always has the ear of the council, who always has the ear of the mayor. Nothing gets done when you continue to give to people who have everything, but you can be a city that people can be proud of. You can be a mayor and a council that people can be proud of. If we stop with this mindset of trickling down of whatever benefit we give to the wealthy, Let's take the foundation from the bottom. Let's build a good foundation of the people who have had nothing for years. Let's give them a sense of hope. Let's give them a sense that you can overcome all these obstacles in your life with cooperation, with political, just take that political will, goodwill that we've given you, Mr. Gray, and let's use that good energy. Let's build from the bottom up instead of trickling everything from the top down, because what rains down on people is suffering. What rains down on people is misery. What rains down on people is a sense that we don't care about you. Let's change that mindset. Let's begin to build people from the bottom up, and then everyone benefits, because as one of us rises, we all rise. And it's time for us to all rise together, and we rise from the bottom. We do not rise from the top down. Thank you.